From a private room at the hospital, Gregory Keane resumes with another chapter of the story.
"48 hours ago, we seemed to be at a dead end in our undercover duel with the NightShade ring. And then Mike Guzik made his mistake when he took the taxi driver Bill Williams into the dark alley off Peach Street. Williams took a terrible battering, but although they put some dents in his appearance, they couldn't make a mark on his spirit. And he's given us a new line of attack on the ring. The case against Guzik rests solely on Williams, so we're certain they'll try to get rid of him before the trial comes up. And that is where we come in." Very well, sister. Thank you. Hello there, Williams.
Hello, Major. Hey, listen, what goes on round here? This morning they hoiked me out of the ward, and here we are in a private room. What is it, me bonny blue eyes?
Well, you see, it's the fact that I can't talk to you in front of a ward full of patients. Right now, you're a very important individual.
The paper says that bloke Guzik's out on bail.
Yes, that was my doing. We're giving them a lot of rope.
So they can get a second crack at me.
That's right. They'd take that crack, whether Guzik was out or not, but we're trying to connect him to the people behind all this. You're leaving the hospital tomorrow, right?
Uh-huh.
Well, before I tell you the score, I want to know definitely. You realize what you're up for?
Yeah.
You don't want to pull out and go into protective custody?
Not on your life.
You know, we're deliberately exposing your life.
I'm doing it myself. It's up to me.
Good man. Here we go. We have to look after you two separate ways. When you're at home, asleep, and when you're on the road. You live in a double-furnished room in a house at Willara, don't you?
Mrs. Thomas's.
Mm-hmm. Now, from now on, you'll be sharing your room with a man called Kevin Ward, first-class constable. He's a very competent character, picked man for your bodyguard.
Hey, wait till I tell the boys about
You
this.
don't tell a soul about this. Constable Ward's had a lot of experience, and he knows all the tricks. He's a crack shot, 6'3", weighs 15'10", and they tell me he can fight like a tiger. So they're not going to get you by just walking up and letting fly.
How do you reckon they would go about it?
Well, you're fair game while you're at the wheel of your cab. And it's 10-1, that's when they'll make their attempt. Now, the Sydney taxi custom of jockeying is the thing in your favor. Constable Ward will ride in the front seat with you every minute you're on the job.
So long as he doesn't lumber me for doubling up.
I shouldn't think there was much chance of that. Now, let's look at the ways they could skittle you while you're driving.
It has to be pretty good to get alongside when I hurry through traffic.
We're counting on that. We don't think they'll try shooting you on the run.
Okay, then what will they do?
I think they'll have an innocent-looking fare waiting for you near your home when you get going one morning. This fare will ask to be driven to a quiet, lonely address. When you get there, the fare will get out and walk away. And as it does, the NightShade chaps will come by and let you have it. They'll have been waiting. It's simple and foolproof.
You don't think one of them will get into the cab and start shooting from there?
Oh, they have enough sense. No, you'll be guarded and guarded well. Ward won't take his eyes off your passengers, and heaven help anyone who tries to cut you down in the cab itself.
So it boils down to watching the first fare I get after starting in the morning, anyone I pick up close to home, and the first one I pick up after stopping for petrol.
That's part of it.
Don't tell me there's more.
Haven't you ever heard of a bomb being wired to your starter motor?
Yeah.
It can't be done without lifting the bonnet. Well, last thing every night, Constable Ward will tie a hair where your bonnet fits down on the grill. If that hair's broken in the morning, you'll get away from your cab and stay away.
You're telling me.
There's just one other possibility. A fare could leave a bomb in your cab, with 2 or 3 minute fuse to let him get well away from you.
Listen, by the time Mike Guzik's trial comes up, I'm going to start thinking I'm Napoleon. I'll be walking round in circles going...
Well, you can still call the whole thing off.
Nothing doing. I'll stay.
Good. Well, we've been over every possibility. Constable Ward will take care no one leaves anything in your car. As far as we can see, you'll go the distance.
I'll go the distance. You owe me a beer, remember?
Good luck to you, Bill. Is there anything I can get you? Got plenty of smokes?
You can tell that blonde nurse I'm dying, and will she come quick and revive me?
You know, you shouldn't even be in hospital. Well, cheerio. We'll be watching you.
I'll be watching myself. So long, Major.
Carlotta, my dear, I've brought you a guest. He couldn't come for dinner, so he gave you time to dine alone. May I present Herr Dr. Kurt Muller, known to the Department of Immigration here as Henry Whittinger.
How do you do, Doctor?
Madame.
Dr. Muller has very kindly consented to help us in the problem of our taxi driver, Williams.
Out of the kindness of my heart, and for the sum of 1,000 pounds.
For 1,000 pounds, Doctor, your services had better be specialized.
Madame, they are.
Let me tell you, Carlotta. Muller is an expert in explosives. At one time, he was at the Nazi research station at Piemont on the Baltic. Remember the V1s and the V2s?
Mm-hmm.
Of course, he was rather enthusiastic about Herr Führer and the Third Reich, all that. So I had to use my influence to get him out here as Heinrich Whittinger. You're grateful, aren't you, Muller?
1,000 pounds grateful. For my services, I would otherwise have charged 2.
Just what are these priceless services?
Let me go on. I've given the chap Williams a good deal of thought. We're not dealing with fools. It seems fair to assume that they'll have taken all the obvious possibilities into account and guarded against them. Shooting the chap down, fixing the engine of his cab so it'll blow up when he presses the starter, all that sort of thing. I've assumed that we'll have to do better.
I still want to know why we need Herr Muller.
My dear, do be patient. There are 2 problems. We have to get Muller into the cab, and he has to get into the cab with something that will kill Williams and not kill Muller. Not attract enough attention to prevent him leaving it when he gets out.
You think they'll be watching for a bomb in a briefcase or a parcel?
As to imbeciles, of course they will. Now, the first part of the problem is mine, getting Muller into the cab. Here's what we do. We have a man called Holtzman. Holtzman has a girl, I forget her name. We know where Williams lives, and we know he garages his cab there. Morning after next, when he drives down the street to start work, Holtzman's girl will be waiting for him at the corner. She'll hail him. She'll get in. She'll ask to be driven to a suburban address where Holtzman will be waiting. Holtzman will hail the cab and repeat the process. He'll give another address, and there, Herr Dr. Muller will be waiting.
I am fascinated. But why all this rushing about in William's cab?
The first client of the day they should be suspicious of. The second fare, perhaps. But the third fare? No. Herr Dr. Muller will be the very pinnacle of respectability. Striped trousers, black jacket, black Homburg hat, black briefcase. He'll have a little contrivance he's going to start making tonight. Would you care to describe it, Muller?
With pleasure. Madame, until the last war, the most powerful non-explosive was TNT, trinitrotoluene. Then our chemists found an even more potent compound. When the British managed to imitate it, they called it RDX. A few ounces of it would shatter this room.
My room stays as it is.
I have some RDX, not much, but enough. To make a small but powerful bomb, all we need is a time fuse. Clockwork is taking too much space. So, we have a strong acid in a small glass tube. We have some powdered magnesium. We have a tiny aluminum plate separating the acid from the magnesium. All fits into an ordinary cigarette case, one holding perhaps 20 cigarettes. This I tie to my leg with a string, releasing it down to the floor. When I am ready to leave the cab, I pull the string through my pocket. The cigarette case slips to the floor. I tread on it, breaking the little tube of acid. I push it with my foot under the front seat of the cab. It does not show. I get out. I pay the driver. The acid eats its way through the aluminum plate. After perhaps 3, perhaps 4 minutes, the acid touches the powdered magnesium. There is an explosion as the RDX is detonated. It is very sad. Of the taxi driver, there is so little left.
Is it worth £1,000, Carlotta?
It is worth more. Ring for Louis. In the freezer there is some beer from Pilsen. I have always been told that Germans adore beer, so we will buy Dr. Muller's little bomb for £1,000 and a bottle of Pilsner. You may pour for him, Felix.
Well, Sherry, Cutts is on his way up from the garage. By jingo, I hope he has some news. But where was I? Oh, yes, Williams. Well, for the life of me, I don't see how they can possibly get at him unless they use a field gun. Oh, here he is.
Evening, Major. Evening, miss.
Where have you come from, Cutts?
Gregerson Street. No one saw me.
What's on?
I should say it's the dope shipment, Major. Tonight, a bloke called Jake Wolfe told me he had orders from Guzik.
Have you seen Guzik since they let him out on bail?
No one has. But they want a driver for Sunday night. The night Nick Barnes said the dope was coming in. I have to pick a car up Sunday afternoon and drive north through Newcastle with 2 men. We go through Newcastle, through Exham Ferry, through Raymond Terrace to a road going off to the right 6 miles before Lime Burners Creek. We wait there at the junction at 11:45 Sunday night.
This road goes through to the coast, does it?
Yes, sir.
Well, that'll do me. Good work, Cutts. We'll arrange a party there. Sunday night, 11:45. 6 miles from Lime Burners Creek. With Guzik out of action and a shipment of narcotics coming in, would Huberman leave the collection of it to hoodlums? I shouldn't think so. Something tells me I'm going to meet Huberman again at a road junction in the middle of the night. About 72 hours from now.
Dr. Mueller takes a cab in the next chapter of this story of intrigue, Deadly Nightshade.